Do we do a sound check now?
Yeah.
Go
Sound
for
check.
it.
Not
I
alcohol.
already opened mine, but like.
Hang on. Sound check. That's close enough.
See,
Go on,
no one will
fellas.
even know that we already opened our cans.
Yeah. So what's happening, fellas?
Should we just go straight into the V8s, or I guess we better do an introduction. I guess.
I reckon
gonna
let's
say,
start with the beginning. I think that's a good way to start.
I said to you both, what's happening, fellas, and you both ignore me, you rude pricks. Like, there's no kindness here in Motorsport Moshput.
Nah.
Yeah, it's just
Nah.
How's your day going?
Exactly.
Psych, I don't care.
Yeah. Sorry, what was that? I was too busy not giving a shit. Hello everyone and welcome to the Motorsport Moshput podcast. This is the second episode, I believe. I'm pretty sure we're up to episode number 2. We've got a bit to talk about. Of course, we've got Pheven and good old Maka, post-round dump. Boys, welcome. How are we? You know, Pheven asked that, but we didn't answer, so I'm going to ask it again. How is everyone?
I'm not answering now. Screw you. No, I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. Bit of exciting racing over the weekend, but obviously we'll get into that tonight. So yeah, but how are you guys doing?
Like
Yep.
racing's back. Like just how good, you know?
Not all of it. We're still waiting on 1 or 2 categories, but yeah, we're just about there.
Yeah. Well, you got to like tease your way into it. You don't just go balls deep, you know.
Yeah, each their own.
No, that's true. You know, he's into it, but no, it's good. It's good to have supercars back. Got plenty to talk about. So why don't we get cracking, you know, into supercars?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it.
All right. What do we think of the weekend of the 2026 season? Let's start off with the actual racing before we get into the commentary and all that yada yada.
I thought it was pretty decent, to be honest. Like, apart from, you know, some questionable maneuvers by a certain Shell Vipar Racing, you know, I thought, like, in terms of the overall racing itself, it was pretty decent. Like, there wasn't really a lot of shit show bad behaviour going on or anything. It was just good, solid, hard racing. And there were some pretty epic battles as well. I mean, like that Kai Allen pass with Broffini on the outside on turn 1, like that was ballsy, man. I love the fact that he just like doesn't give a fuck and just gets in there and tries to give it a crack. Like,
Definitely.
good on him.
Yeah, I think overall the racing was good. Obviously, like first race back, I don't think they're all going to go for glory straight away, obviously. But some of those mid-pack battles were actually quite entertaining to watch. Like, I think it was it might have been the race on the Sunday, and yeah, I think it was the Sunday race. And I think it was between 15th or 20th, they were just banging doors, pushing each other off, everything else like that. I was just like, hell yeah, this is what we want. Like, obviously, you don't want to see cars fire off the road, but like, you want to see guys get into each other. You want to see like hard passes, like or what Will Brown on the Saturday night. I think it was Will Brown and Matt Payne. Will bumps him as he passes him, and then a lap later, Payne does the same to him. Like that's what we want to see. So yeah, I think the racing was good. So yeah, interesting showing by Toyota, but we'll get into that. But yeah, what did you think, Dan?
I really loved it. You know, obviously, I'm just glad that supercars is back. It always puts on a show, but I completely agree. The mid-pack battles was sensational. At one point, we had 10-car battle. Everyone was going off track. Turn 5 was really epic to watch. So no, I thought it was a really good race. Definitely enjoyed it. Always love night racing. Night racing's always a win for me. Friday was a bit, probably the weakest of the whole weekend, but Saturday put on a real show. But Sunday, with a bit of weather as well, man, that was fun.
Oh, and just a special shout out to Cam. Sorry, special shout out to Cam Waters coming from 20th on the grid on the podium in that Sunday race. Like that was a stellar drive.
That was incredible. Yeah. Well, I guess one thing I wanted to kind of bring up is it didn't really feel like an opening round of a championship. If you know what I mean? Like it could have been hyped up a bit more. I feel like it just felt like the Friday race. Like it just felt like it would have been any other Sydney Motorsport round. It didn't feel like back in the day with like Adelaide and stuff. There's this big thing that goes on. Everyone gets hyped up, and yeah, even the race itself is a huge challenge. Whereas like I felt like the Sydney race, well, it's still entertaining to watch and still a unique spectacle. I felt they could have done more.
No, you make a good point. I definitely agree because I listened to the Lucky Dog pod as well with Will Brown and Brody Kostecki. They were talking about it too. There wasn't a lot of promo, and Kostecki made a good point that something that we mentioned in our last episode as well, the lack of promotion. So, when he did Speedway a couple of weeks ago, or last week, whatever, he told people that, people asked when's the next race or when's the first race. When he told them, it was this weekend or next weekend, they didn't realise. So, I completely agree with you. Like, it didn't really feel like the opening round. It definitely did have that feeling of just a standard round. No hype. The only hype we really got was with Brock Feeney and Ryan Wood. That was about it. And it was all about last weekend, not hyping up what's going to happen this weekend. It was just all about talking about last year.
Can I just say one thing about the Brock Feeney Ryan Wood thing? Can I just say how tired I am of hearing about that incident every friggin' time in the telecast? Like, I know that the sport is built on rivalry, and so I completely understand. But for me, personally, I don't know how you two boys feel about that. Supercars media, they're just flogging a dead horse of that one. Because, yes, it was a massive talking point, and even though it did. This will be controversial when I say this, and some people will be like, "No, you're friggin' wrong," and other people will agree. It did, but it didn't change the result. I mean, the guy still ended up facing backwards in the most important race of the year for him. I mean, then he had the engine failure, so that's ultimately what sealed the deal. But regardless of that, yes, there's a rivalry there now between Brock and Ryan, but it feels more manufactured than it does natural, if that makes sense. Is like let's take Scaife and Ingle in Eastern Creek 2003. Like, that was a genuine rivalry. That wasn't manufactured. Those two were at each other's throats. This is more like, have you spoken to him or have you done this? Like, just shut up and let them sort it out. Like, yes, Brock's going to be angry for a while, but he'll get over it. And I reckon at one point him and Woody will start talking to each other and being normal again. It's just one of those things. I think it was only because it was a championship race is why they keep blowing up about it. Like, if it was any other time in the year, they wouldn't have said squat.
Definitely. Even when you listen to them in the interviews and even the show, the little segment that Jess Yates had with Brock Feeney during the weekend of them behind the bridge or whatever, in front of the bridge, even the way they talk about it, the way the drivers talk about it, all it sounds like is they just need to have a chat to each other. And they just want to have a chat with each other, but just haven't done it yet. They're not really hating each other. They're just pressing on. It's a brand new season. Obviously, completely different scenario now. The only time we saw them on track against each other was Saturday night. And I don't know. I didn't hear properly if the broadcast hyped that bit up or not, but nothing happened out of it. Yeah. Brock just passed him and that was it. So I definitely, last thing quickly. Definitely agreed. It's completely manufactured. At least it has that feeling. If anything, the closest thing we have to a rivalry at the moment is Aaron Cameron and Brody Kostecki, which I never thought I'd say.
Oh, how good was BRT? Like, you can't really be mad at that. The fact that they just kind of came out of nowhere and front row lockout, first opening race of the year, and they obviously had good qualifying pace. Their race pace probably wasn't at the same level, and I think some of their strategies kind of messed them up. And then obviously Golding drove the wheels off the thing on the last race. Literally, and but overall, like, I was bloody impressed by them. Like, I definitely fell for the BRT propaganda, that's for sure.
Yeah,
I think we all did, because I even
stepped up. BRT have really stepped up, especially since Bathurst last year.
All good. So basically, if you think about it, they've technically had 2 weekends in a row where they've performed really well. Because obviously last time was Adelaide and Aaron Cameron was on the front row. Yes, he hit the wall, but we don't talk about that. But in terms of pace, though, they've been fairly strong the last 2 rounds. And the alliance with Triple Eight definitely show, they've definitely got the setups for this weekend and it's definitely worked out. Unfortunately, they got caught with the strategies. Brock Feeney undercut them and they found out the hard way and they just fell back, unfortunately. But before that, though, they were leading quite well. They're holding their ground compared to Brock. And we know how quick he was this weekend. So I'm excited to see how they go. They've gone from last position to the front row on the grid in the first qualifying of the year. It's pretty crazy. And to finish the weekend in 6th place, heading into Melbourne, is pretty special.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely.
The
Yeah,
fact that,
make
like
a very
Aaron
good point.
Cameron, the fact that Aaron Cameron could have been a championship leader, like that's wild to even think about. Like if like if you said that last year, people would have laughed at you and said you're crazy. But he could have been a championship leader if things didn't go the right way, the wrong way.
100%.
We're all nervous about James Golding leaving Premier to Blanchard last season, but it's probably one of the best moves he's ever pulled because Will Brown actually made a really good point. He's moved to Blanchard Racing and he's already performed better than he ever did last season with Premier. And then for comparison, look how well Premier did this weekend. Roland Dane probably wasn't too happy about what has happened with them. They got some work to do, but I think Golding made the GOAT move.
I would not want to
except
be
Sunday.
in the back.
No, definitely not. Yeah, whoever didn't put that wheel on properly is probably hiding as we speak.
Speaking of Golding leaving Premiere to go to BRT, did anyone see Richie Stanaway's Instagram story after he put it on hold or something, and he says, "Can we get a cameraman down to Premiere's garage right now for their thoughts on this?"
Yeah.
Oh
man, I love him.
Richie's just sitting in the background, just going like, "Yeah, just stirring that friggin' pot."
Yeah, it's safe to say that Peter Adderton has taught him well. Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
But
There's one thing I'd like to bring up is Triple Eight. While they obviously, Brock Feeney did really well. Will Brown probably had an absolute shocker in reality, and there's a few mistakes from Triple Eight that we haven't really seen it like this early on in the season. So it's kind of interesting to see that they probably should have done a better job overall over the weekend.
No, definitely, especially Saturday night. They both had pit-related penalties. Yes, it was Brown's fault for the wheels spinning, but the unsafe release that they had with James Golding and Brock Feeney, yeah, that was on them. That's something you rarely see at Triple Eight. Even Will Brown, though, back to standards, can't qualify properly but knows how to race. It was a real shame to see him get that penalty because he was doing really well. He went from 12th to in the top 6 or 7. Sorry. Have to do that. But on Sunday, however, he remembered to qualify, only to knock out Brody Kostecki in the process.
Yeah, rough weekend for the guy, really. Obviously, all the chaos that knocked out the lone Chev of Anton. Poor guy.
Thanks for ruining my predictions too, by the way, Team 18. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
But what a performance from him, though.
Brody was so close. I was so close.
Yeah, I reckon probably 1 or 2 more laps, and he would have definitely got him. But what a performance from Anton Saturday night. To get pole position, but to also dominate the race. He never once lost the lead, even after that whole safety car restart. He had let's talk about that restart real quick because that was quite kind of fiery. How late he started accelerating and caused a lot of mishaps and confusions from everyone. Brock Feeney was side by side Ryan Wood. It was all on.
Kind of reminded me of was it 2021 or 2022? Someone was at DJR and they were actually doing the restart, exactly the same place. And he went and then stopped and went again, but Shane Van Gisbergen passed him. So I was just wondering if he had PTSD from that moment, maybe.
Yeah,
that was 2021.
Yeah.
Oh, memories. It also reminds me of when the side-by-side thing was happening, the Scott McLaughlin and Shane Van Gisbergen at Sydney. 2017 or something like that. That was pretty wild.
Yeah,
We all know how that went. Both Red Bulls went spinning, I'm pretty sure, or at least one of them did. So, yeah, that was wild.
There's a few restarts there, to be honest, and I think it's one of those tracks that really, even if you're behind first place, you can really take advantage of a few things because it's such a long straight. You get the slipstream and get a side draft in there, those kind of things. And obviously, we saw what Kyle did, and I know I'm repeating myself, but Jesus Christ, that was epic.
That was mint. How he went around the outside and the run he had. Oh my god!
I thought he was going to go off. I'm like, no, he's offline because typically you go offline at that corner, but with the rain and everything like that, it obviously changes things. Oh man, yeah, that was awesome. But that's just what you can do in a good restart.
Oh, 100%. Like
Absolutely.
that was one of the best restarts I've seen for a while.
In a race this year.
Oh, no doubt. Probably more chance than Thomas Randall at this stage, unfortunately. But the luck he had though, Kai Allen in race 3, to have that. What even broke on the car? Something broke on the front, which put him out of contention. But he was in for a chance to win.
I think it was a steering arm.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. For that to snap, it was kind of odd. We had a couple wheel dramas. Obviously, James Golding's wheel just fell off after 10 laps. That was interesting. We had another controlled tyre moment. What was your thoughts on that?
Well, the Super Utes had the same issue as well. So, is it something to do with the curbs, or where they go offline somewhere? Or is it just really abrasive? Like, I'd be curious to see what's happening. Yeah, there was like one race in the Super Utes where like 4 or 5 cars were having massive tyre problems as well.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. Like, if you watch the onboards,
have they?
not all of it. No, I think only you can kind of see just turn 7 to 9, I think, and then maybe a bit of, I don't know, but definitely that one. But you can just see when you watch the onboards this year, because they've changed the cameras now, it's a lot more aggressive hitting those curbs. Like, you really feel those vibrations watching on TV. So maybe the curbs have had a factor. I don't know. It's just really strange.
The debut of the Toyota Supra. Thoughts on that? I mean, poor Andre. I mean, engine went bang on the Friday or the Saturday night? Just came around the corner and poof.
It just went. It just went, didn't it? Turn 9. Turn whatever. Yeah, no, turn 9. Yeah, that was weird. That was really odd. But overall, though, they did have a bit of a slow start. Testing, they had the least amount of laps than everyone. It was only really Sunday that they started to really show their performance. All 5 Supras in the 10. Yes, of course, Brody got a penalty. Will Brown spun, Anton, blah, blah, blah. So obviously they had help along the way. But pace alone, they looked so much stronger on the Sunday compared to the Friday.
Yeah.
It was quite a... Well, I guess full disclosure, I did say they would win in the first round, and they didn't. So yeah, I fucked up. But yeah, it was quite interesting to see. Like they definitely started to crawl their way back towards the end. Like both Mozzie crawled back from bloody. I can't even remember he qualified, but he crawled his way back, got knocked back, come back up. So there's obviously some decent race pace in the cars, but I think they probably just need to find this setup and figure out all the balance and things like that. And
definitely,
honestly, within a couple of rounds, they're going to be solid because even last year with Walkinshaw, they probably weren't the most competitive cars at Sydney. Obviously, Tickford were kicking everyone's ass, and Triple Eight were there, but Walkinshaw were probably a bit hit and miss. So yeah, it's going to be curious to see over the next few rounds what happens.
Yeah, I think with the Supra,
for sure.
it'll be a case of I think with the Supra, it's going to be a case of the first couple of rounds at least, it's obviously going to be getting the car dialed in. Like, obviously, they've got some understanding of how the new car works already, but we're obviously not race engineers, so we don't know what these cars actually require. But there were some promising signs of speed on the, especially on the Sunday, especially with both teams up there, like you said, albeit with a bit of luck. But even reading some of Ryan Walkinshaw's comments on his socials, someone had asked him a question, and he responded with, like, we know what we have to work on now. It's stuff they can't talk about publicly, obviously, because you don't want to give too much away. But they know what they need to work on now post Sydney. So I reckon before the first half of the year is over, we'll probably see a good percentage of the Supras in the this is just me. My prediction, we'll probably see a good percentage of the Supras in the top 10 on a regular basis, and hopefully we do, because it'd be cool to see Mustang, Chev, and Super all in the 10. Go back to similar days of like Car of the Future, where you had Nissan holding forward up there, or even the Merc or whatever at the times. Yeah, so exciting times for Toyota fans. But yeah, we'll see where they go.
No, definitely. Because go on.
Probably one, I guess, kind of surprise for me probably was Zach Bates was actually quite quick over the weekend. He probably just got beaten a bit too much by other people and rubbed around, but like his qualifying pace was epic.
Yeah, the human punching bag.
Yeah, totally. Initiation, pretty solid initiation for the guy.
Yeah, welcome to Supercar.
So he got his yeah. Let's say he got his initiation at Queensland Raceway last year, and they decided he didn't have enough, so they gave him more.
Yeah.
Didn't he go on top of the car?
Like Cam Hill, and he's like, "Oh shit, no."
Yeah. Didn't he get lifted up in the air? Did he get lifted up in the air in Darwin, or was that someone else in the Super Cheap? Was that him?
That was
That was
no. I think that was.
Was that the?
Was that? I think that was Cooper
Someone
Murray.
in the super cheap car. Just.
yeah.
Oh, maybe it was.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was
Cooper
maybe it
Murray.
was.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, I'm surprised that hasn't happened to Zach Bates. I during our watch along, I called him Scott Sterling because that's pretty much who he was on Saturday night. Even it got to a point where even a wheel hit him in pit lane. It was pretty crazy. But no, I completely agree though. You know, he qualified really well all weekend. I believe he was in the 10 quite often as well. Yeah, he just had some bad luck during the races by getting taken out, getting caught in people's dramas. But we already knew how good he was. Actually, in fairness, we got some decent rookies this year. We got, of course, Zach Bates, you know, 24 Super 2 champion. Rylan Gray, you know, last year's champion Super 2. But then you got Job Stewart as well. And Jay Nojota as well. We saw what he did in Bathurst 12 hour. Take Chaz Moster out. But no, I'm excited for this year. You know, we got a good amount of talent in the field this year.
Yeah, I guess that probably the big thing is like it's kind of hard to even predict the champion at the moment. Like, or even look at the form guide because there's so much variability in who's doing well and who's not. Like, you know, we nearly had 3 different winners, but the podiums were different. Like the drivers at the top, there's some drivers who nearly won had issues, or even people like Anton, you know, like probably should be up there more often, and obviously had that issue in the last race. You know, so I think it's a really open-ended championship, and I think it's a really good opportunity for those rookies to come in and kind of stake their position, I guess. And maybe sort their shit out.
Yeah, I think this year.
Yeah, what happened to them this week?
You can't discount. A lot of people are saying that this is probably going to be Brock Feeney's year, but again, with the final series, it's unpredictable. We saw how that played out last year. Like, but excluding that, I think, but this year now being the second year of the format we now have, I don't know why I can see at most points of the year, I can see some people maybe going for glory and maybe the other half just playing conservative right up to the time where it's to reach the cutoff just before Bathurst. Like you'll see a lot of people just like taking whatever points they can. Like obviously, like if it was a guy like second or third in the championship trying to get under the old format, trying to get to first, like they'll take what points they can, or even the championship leader. But I think now you're going to have a lot more guys doing the exact same thing, but then going for broke when it really matters is before Bathurst. Like a bit of a change, but not too much if you get what I'm trying to say. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting season just to see who's willing to put their balls on the line more for like a normal race win during the year. Like obviously that's what you want to see, but it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, no, obviously now, if you think about it, this is the second year of finals. So we've already had a whole year to learn about it. Drivers have had a chance to learn and get a feel for what to expect. So that could even change the mindset heading into 2026 as well. So yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see the differences of some of the drivers' abilities and so forth as well. Maybe some strategy changes throughout the season. You know, just squeezing into the 10. Obviously, one of the criticisms about the finals is all you have to do is get into the 10 to be potentially a champion. You know, you don't have to have a fantastic season to get to that point. So it's going to be really interesting to see who does what this season.
But that's the point of the finals, though. You still have to race throughout the entire year to get to the finals, and you have to race your way to the final race. Like it's not just like you can somewhat understand when people say it's just like, oh, you could only win one race in the entire year and be crowned a champion. And I just turned back and said, 2005, Selinko only won 1 or 2 races, and 6, Rick Kelly only won 1 race and became the champion. So it's not. Don't blame the format. It's not like it hasn't happened before under the old style format, because it has. So that argument gets debunked right there. But but no, it's going to be really interesting. I mean, but I think that what you said with the now people understanding the finals a bit more, it's kind of going to blow. It's kind of going to blow it wide open now, because obviously the teams are going to be a bit more focused on how they go about things, and you'll see like you said, we could probably see different strategy calls or things we may not expect from certain teams and drivers to ensure they get in. So yeah, no, I'm excited for it. I'm really keen to see who's there come Bathurst.
Shall we rip the Band-Aid off and go straight into your guys' opinions on commentary? Obviously, we got a new commentary thing, so
I'll let Pheven, you go first. I'll let you go first.
Yeah, I actually didn't mind it. like obviously it's obviously a good starting point to the fact that the people now doing it are people we've seen in supercars media or in coverage for a while now, and obviously having guys like Tando who have been around for like the last 300 years, but not as long as Crompo. He's been around for 6,000. I actually didn't mind it. Like, and you see guys like Tander and Chad Nalon and whoever else is involved. Like, you've seen them call the support races, and they've always called the support races really well. But now they stepped it to the main game. I think, even though considering it was their first time calling the main event as the new voice of supercars, I actually don't think they did too bad. Like, obviously, it felt a little bit strange not hearing Crompo, not hearing Scaife. Time changes, move on, and like, I can't understand why supercars wanted to change. Like, I won't bang on about this too long. My only criticism, and you and I, the three of us have spoken about this in chat, like off air, I do think there should have been more recognition for what Crompo and Scaife did, not just turn off the mics in Adelaide and then that's it. Like you barely even seen like a thank you for what they've done. Like for what, not like, let's take Crompo for example. Like, not only just a driver, like he's been a factory driver for Nissan, factory driver for the Holden Racing Team, factory driver for Full Performance or Tickford, whatever it was back then. Like, excluding that, but also what he did for the viewers of the sport and like his technical analysis and really like helping build and grow the image of what supercars is now. And then look at the stuff that Scaife did apart from being a factory driver for others as well. Racing careers aside for those two, but what they did for the sport and to try and help it grow and the amount of time and effort they would have put in kind of feels like we don't know what went on behind closed doors with those two. Maybe they just didn't want a big fanfare, or maybe it was just told to yesterday's news, get out. We'll never know. But I do feel like it's kind of, for me personally, it kind of feels like it looks a bit of like a slap in the face. And it's just like, you two never existed. That's how I see it. But yeah, supercars commentary again. Yeah, not too bad. I think we've got something now we can work with. And I actually didn't mind seeing Frosty in the pit lane, to be honest. I think a little bit rusty, obviously, because it's like now he's not full time driving. But I reckon he won't make a bad pit reporter. But thank God they didn't get rid of Larko.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, like I thought the commentary was pretty decent, to be honest. I'm still yet to warm up to Frosty, but I reckon JC nailed it. I think he kind of, even in the commentary box, I think he worked really well with Garth and Chad. I think they just kind of bounce off each other really well. They still got a lot to work on, obviously, and they're still trying to find their flow. But I think even just having the different commentators per race was actually kind of interesting. You know, they had Frosty in for one race, they had JC for another. Can't remember, there was another one, but you know, the variety made it quite decent, and I guess it also meant that like there was different talking points that popped up, so that kind of made it a bit more exciting. But I also felt like, yeah, they still need to find their vibe, and obviously the relationships need to kind of develop. Obviously, like Crompo and Scaife have worked together for like decades. But yeah, I agree with Pheven, like the communication of or even just like the kind of respect of Crompo and Scaife leaving was pretty piss poor, to be honest. And you know, I watched that Toyota Supra documentary recently, the one that's just come out. You know, Neil Compton was a big part of that, and you can kind of see that through the documentary, and you can see he's quite enthusiastic about it. So you know, obviously bringing someone like Toyota to the sport, that's quite a big thing, and just to kind of throw him to the side was a bit rough. But at the same time, I did actually think the commentary needed to change. I thought it was getting a bit stale at times last year. There's only so many times you can hear about rubber. But yeah, I don't know. The new commentary, I think it's on the right path, but yeah, we'll see. Dan?
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, I completely agree with your both your comments about Crompo and Scaife. You know, they just left in the dust. There should have been, as I said last time, there should have been at least an acknowledgement of the fact that they're not going to be here. You know, even if they didn't want to send off, you know, that's fair. Not everyone wants one, but at least let the fans know that you're going to be hearing different voices next season. You know, but with that being said, though, in terms of this weekend's commentary, I think they did a really good job. At no point, to be honest, and you know, it's weird to say this, at no point this weekend did I miss Crompo as much as I thought I would. I thought, you know, it would be shitty to not hear Crompo at all this weekend, but I didn't really have that feeling at all. You know, I think everyone did equally a really good job. Frosty was fantastic. I love the fact that they had 3 people in the commentary box. Love that they rotated it around, so we had JC one night, Frosty the other. JC as well, really good job. You know, he's a lot of laughs. You can hear him slowly warming up to being on camera. So as the weekend progressed, he did get better. With that being said, though, I really wished that they permanently had a third person in the commentary box, and that was going to be Craig Lowndes. I think Craig Lowndes in the commentary box would have been really good for Supercars, given his experience, especially with AAA as well, and our Team 18. I think it would have been really beneficial. But overall, really good. Chad nailed it on the head. Garth wasn't as much scafey as he was at Bathurst. And Larko is back to getting 15-second penalties in the pit lane, pissing teams off and stuff like that by drawing on tyres. So no, it's just good to have Supercars back. And yeah, exactly. Did you see the comments when Golding's tyre went off? Someone blamed it on, like, is Larko going to get a penalty for that or something like that? I found that pretty funny. That was mint. So overall, really excited to see how the year progresses for the commentary team. So far, we're off to a good start, I reckon.
Can I just add real quickly?
A good start, though.
So, can I just add real quickly, like, one person I would love to see let loose in the commentary box, even just for one race, I would actually love to see them get Larko up there, because I reckon that'd be freaking comedy gold.
But after a couple,
like, let Larko loose in the commentary box, like, even for half a race. Like, they'd probably have to throw him out after 5 laps, but, like, it'd just be freaking awesome. Like,
oh, that would be mint. I'll definitely be on board for that.
The TV production manager will be in the back going, "Shut the fuck up, shut up." Shut up.
You'd have to have the beeper on constantly, just like all the time when, Larko, over to you. Beep.
Yeah. Oh, that'll be so much fun. That'll be. Let's put him in bring him into the Motorsport Moshput. I think he'll fit quite nicely.
Oh,
that's
Jesus.
for sure.
Oh, mate, yeah.
We haven't got enough traction for that yet, but I reckon if we get popular enough, it's just like slide into Larko's DMs and just be like, "Hey, mate, we're just gonna sink a couple of beers and just talk absolute shit all night." Like,
I know he will say yes to that too. You know, I can picture him agreeing to that's a good time. That's for sure. Let's start drifting.
Start the message with just cold beer.
Yeah, that's it. Let's move to 4 wheels to 2 wheels for a moment, because it still in a way works with the 4 wheel sort of thing. But MotoGP, obviously the recent news about Phillip Island is now no more, and MotoGP is coming to me, the streets of Adelaide. What's your initial thoughts? Who wants to go first?
Well, as a resident Victorian, I better kind of put in my point of view. This is obviously revenge for Victoria stealing the Adelaide Grand Prix back in the day. Fair enough. But yeah, like from what I understand, and this is just what I've read, it sounded like Liberty wanted a street circuit. They approached the Victorian government and they said, "Hey, look, we want it at Albert Park." The Victorian government was like, "No, we want it at Phillip Island because we want to help with regional government economic shit." And then they said, "No, we're going to Adelaide." So, you know, it's one of those things that it kind of makes sense why it happened. And while I am pretty disappointed, because obviously Phillip Island is an awesome circuit and arguably one of the best in Australia in terms of the track, the facilities are not up to scratch realistically. And not sure if any of you guys have been there, but yeah, it feels like it's back in the 80s, and it's probably got the similar amount of toilets to Queensland Raceway before the renovations. So, yeah, it's pretty bad. But I'm quite keen to see what happens with this whole Adelaide thing, and because there's obviously quite a big change to the existing circuit, but obviously a motorcycle street circuit is insanely mad. Like, the only ones I've seen growing up in New Zealand are the Battle of the Streets in Pyro, where literally the walls are just hay bales. I think they'll probably go a bit more advanced than that, hopefully. Or maybe not, who knows. Yeah, but I'm going to be very curious to see what they do to the track and how that affects the V8s as well going to the Adelaide Grand Final.
Honestly, I'm torn on the decision to get rid of Phillip Island. As a traditionalist, in a way, it's going to suck to no longer see it hold the premier racing bikes there anymore. But I think moving it to Adelaide is a really ambitious move, and if they can make it work, then more power to them. But I just hope. But let me put it this way: when you think of street circuit and bikes, you automatically cringe. Like, you think, what's going to happen? Like, is someone going to feed someone into a fence? Is some guy going to lose his head or whatnot? But if they can make it safe and actually make it work, where the racing is going to be entertaining, then I'm all for it. Like, again, it's going to suck to see Phillip Island no longer on there. But it's kind of sad to think about too, because we've lost supercars from there, and now we're losing MotoGP. What are they going to do there? Like, you get a couple of support category, like lower categories there each year, but like, is this who owns Phillip Island? Is it still
not me?
Lindsay Fox? Yeah, it's still Lindsay Fox. Right now, I think now, but losing Phillip Island, like, it'd be up to him now to try and like bring in something mega to make it work again and make it an attractive facility, because like we said on the last, I think we said on the last episode, there's never been a crap race at Phillip Island whether it's bikes or supercars or anything. But like this could be a blessing in disguise for Lindsay Fox in the Phillip Island facility, because maybe he could do what Tony Quinn did to Queensland Raceway, just completely revamp it and attract something really big. Like, maybe we can get supercars back out there, but I would love to see like GT World Challenge cars out there. Like, guys who come and do the 12-hour. Can you imagine doing, like, I don't know if it'll work or not, but can you imagine, let's do a 6 or an 8-hour endurance race around Phillip Island in GT3s? That'd be intense. Like, I don't know who you get to come do it, but, like, you've now got this, like, one of the most famous tracks in the world, which is going to lose another major Premier Class category. It's crunch time to do something big.
From what I understand, and they were actually looking at redeveloping a lot of the Phillip Island circuit. I think Lindsay Fox is even going to chuck in some money himself. But there's a bunch of locals complaining about it, because they're going to like put in, massive new pit facilities, hotels, like proper resources, infrastructure, all that kind of jazz. But apparently it's going to ruin the touristy vibe of it. So now
it's a friggin' racetrack for crying loud.
Yeah, yeah. But now they've lost their most popular tourist activity that generates the most economic revenue for that island. So
but it's not gonna be able to stay the same forever though, is it? Like, if you've now lost your most Premier Class category after losing supercars, what last time they raced around there was 2019 when McLaughlin was still here.
Yeah,
I think.
Jeez.
Yeah, and so it's been that long since we've had them, and now you're losing the bikes. Like, it's either going to be this is the way I see it. Either you let the place turn into something like the Calder Park Thunderdome, where it's just going to get neglected and just damaged beyond repair, or you do, like I said, do a Tony Quinn and spend millions on the place and make it attractive again, that people will want to come race there.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah, you were saying something that you had a bit of a conspiracy theory.
Oh, yeah, I did. Well, before I get into that, if it's the one I'm thinking of, my take on the Phillip Island thing, what they should do, because I'm worried that if Phillip Island doesn't have anything, it will be gone, which is a real shame. But they should revamp it, bring it back, and bring back it as a supercar enduro round. That's a way to bring it back. Because it's been a long time since we had that. Hey?
Fuck off the Ben 500.
Yeah. Or, here's an idea. Maybe instead of 2 rounds, we have 3 enduro rounds, I miss the fact that we have 3. We haven't had 3 since the COVID era, but yeah, so my conspiracy, by the way, well said. You heard it here first. That's exactly what we need to make it even better. Like, it just makes sense to have 3, It's just, I don't know, it's stupid that they didn't bring it. Yes, they originally had 2 before the 3, but I don't know why we can't have the 3 again. So hopefully in the next year or so we do have 3 rounds. That'll be good. I guess we'll have to see what happens. Maybe they're Valve. Maybe Valve created the enduro rounds. They can't count the 3, so there you go. But my thoughts on the whole MotoGP thing is, I was very skeptical when I heard about the street circuit thing. Like, motorbikes and street circuits don't end well. We already know what happens in Isle of Man. That's the first thing that came to mind with a walls sort of circuit. But the way they're doing it, but then I had thought over time, because the way they're doing it, and we saw the track layout, they're not silly. Obviously, they're doing it to fit the regulations and so forth. It's going to be really interesting how they put it together in terms of the infrastructure and all that, which also leads to my conspiracy theory of what if this just doesn't end up happening. Because, yeah, they got a 6-year deal until 2032 or something like that now. What if this doesn't end up happening and they either go to the Bend, or as much as I would love to see, go to Malala, revamp Malala up for a MotoGP track? Because obviously Superbikes used to race there back in the day as well, and it's very unique, the track, and I think it'll be much more exciting. I was saying to Maka earlier, it's very similar to Wington in terms of the viewing experience, because the Bend, obviously, you can't see much. You can really only go to the main straight, that's about it. So for a viewing and fan experience, and it will put Malala back on the map as well. So I would love to see that. But in terms of the street circuit, if they pull it off, it's going to be mega. But I am worried as well what will happen to supercars for their grand final, because it's meant to happen at least 2 weeks prior to the grand final. So it's going to be interesting.
If they get rid of turn 8 and the supercars layout, I'm going to murder someone.
Yeah, I agree with you.
No, I'm not yeah. Metaphorically speaking. Metaphorically.
He's going to fire up GTA 5 later and just go kill someone on the street. I jokingly said to someone a couple of weeks ago when the MotoGP news got announced about Adelaide, I made the joke with a mate saying, just send them out to Queensland Raceway, and I thought, actually, no, it's a terrible idea, because you get guys like Marc Marquez end up at the go-kart track or the drag strip down the road because he's trying to dive bomb someone into turn 3. Like, just keep going. Like,
yeah, that's it.
But speaking of the bikes, MotoGP, we're not far from the kickoff to that season.
Yeah, not too far away at all.
If Ducati keep their current form, then we can just hand Marc Marquez the trophy already, and eclipse Rossi's World Championship tally, and Rossi is now placed in a mental institution if that happens.
Yeah, no, I can see it happening. I won't be surprised at all if Marquez tops this year again. Obviously, I don't follow it anywhere near as much as supercars or anything like that, but I do try to hear bits and pieces. Yeah, definitely. Marquez was super strong last year. He was a weapon, absolute weapon last year, so I'm sure he can pull it off again. The question is, can anyone else pull it off? That's the question we're all wondering.
Yeah, I think considering what happened to him last year, I think Bagnaia, his teammate, obviously is going to come out for blood this year, considering Mark walked into his team and made him look stupid on the same bike, and especially in a team where Pecco had just won two out of the last 3 titles. So he'll be out for redemption. But Alex Marquez on the Gresini Ducati, interesting to see if he can step it up another notch this year, because for the first couple of rounds he was fighting with Mark for the title lead, and then Mark just took off and made everyone look stupid. But the interesting point for this season will be if does Fabio Quartararo leave Yamaha, with the talks of him signing for Honda.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. What do you reckon?
Look, I'd not be surprised if he does leave Yamaha and signs with HRC, whatever it is, because obviously he's been with Yamaha with his entire Premier Class career, because he was with the Petronas team in 2019 and 2020, then got the promotion to the factory team, replacing Rossi, and then winning the title in 2021. Pardon me, and then coming close to the title again in 2022. But just watching Yamaha on this steady decline in performance, and watching some of his frustration in preseason testing, it's just like, is he maybe at the point now where enough's enough? And obviously Honda have been in the rebuilding phase the last couple of years, especially since losing Marquez. But we have, I think, next year in 2027, we have new regulations for MotoGP as well. So that's anyone's guess. There is talks that maybe Honda could be the one to be on, given some of the rumours in the paddock and whatnot. So, yeah, interesting times. But whether I think he will leave, I've got a strong feeling he will. Because, like I said, there comes a point where enough's enough. Even though that guy, Fabio, is still pretty young, but again, he's not really getting any younger because he's been around for several years now in the in the championship, and I think given the caliber of rider that he is, his results don't really show how good he actually can be, or where he actually is. Sorry, so yeah. But another one is Jack Miller. Could this be the year? Because he's on fixed the Pramac Yamaha again this year, and there's talks about his future. But could they let him go at the end of this year? But, I mean, Jack's been around for a long time, and gosh, how many lives has that guy been given? He's been given. Use his 9 lives and use the lives of about 6 other cats.
Yeah,
every year, like, you always hear, like, is this Jack Miller's last year? I just feel like every year it just says that. He's just kind of used to it now.
Yeah, do you know what I found funny, right? Is they used him, he was in Adelaide for the announcement, but my question that I had in my mind was, is he even going to be here next year? Is he even going to race around there? Because that's the important question, because you're absolutely right. For the last few years, the question has been, is this his last year? Is this his last year? And it keeps on somehow keep going, he keeps surviving. So I'm hoping he has a good season this year. I think he still has quite a bit of talent. He showed a lot of potential throughout 2025, but it's been tricky. Hasn't been easy for him, that's for sure. So I'm hoping we can still see an Aussie on the grid in 27.
But also with Miller too, like, how many teams can he keep moving to until they just say enough's enough? Because, and this is not knocking Jack at all, like, but in the last 5 years, he's been with the Pramac Ducati, then the factory Ducati, then he went to KTM, now he's with Pramac Yamaha. Like, in the space of about 5-6 years, that's a lot of teams to have ridden for. And again, I'm not knocking Jack at all. Like, he's one of my favorite riders, like one of my favorite sports people that I follow. But when does the lifeline run out?
I guess the thing we've got to factor in as well, he's not a spring chicken anymore. There's so many bright young stars coming through, just like even supercars. We see David Reynolds, even Thomas Randall. He's young, but he hasn't been performing for the last few years. So, even though he has a contract till next year. But just things to consider, even in F1, we see it all the time. Even Alonso, Hamilton, they're on their way out. I'm not saying Jack Miller's like the same age as them, but I don't even know how old Miller is from memory. Definitely not as old as that, but he's been there for quite a bit of time. That's the problem. You don't last forever in this sport. Yeah, you don't last forever in this sport. So time is always ticking.
Yeah, definitely 100% right there, Dan. Time's ticking, but the question is up in the air, how much longer will Miller stay in MotoGP? But honestly, I do see this being his last team, unless something miraculous comes along. But getting a ride with a top... Like, there was even rumours a couple of months ago that he was going to replace Alex Rins at the factory team, but again, how many rumours go through about MotoGP and F1, or even supercars for that fact? Like, someone just starts this random crap. And it spreads like wildfire too. So until I see it, I won't believe it. But I've just got a strong feeling that the Pramac Yamaha is probably the last team we'll see him on. But I don't think it'll be the end of his racing career once he eventually leaves MotoGP, because I reckon he could have a very healthy career in Superbikes.
No, definitely. I don't think he's going to be quitting racing altogether. I think he'll be really strong in Superbikes if he goes there.
So hello everyone, sorry to interject, but we've decided to split this into 2 podcasts because we blabbered on so bloody much. Mostly Stephen couldn't shut his bloody mouth. Don't tell anyone. So yeah, we're going to split it into 2 parts. So that concludes part 1, and in part 2 we're going to talk about Formula 1 and the upcoming Australian Grand Prix. So yeah, thanks for listening, and feel free to follow us on socials. We're on Facebook, we're on Instagram. Subscribe to us on YouTube, whatever you use for your podcast, and yeah, thanks for listening, and see you in the next episode.